Ladies and gentlemen, President Biden, our dear leader, Mashed Potato Brains, has predicted that Russia is going to invade Ukraine. Number one, I thought that Putin was frightened of the Democratic Party. I thought Trump was a Putin puppet who would allow the Kremlin and Russia to wreak havoc upon the world. Oh, that's right. Democrats created that myth. They actually purchased it with the Steele dossier because they couldn't stand results. They couldn't stand accepting defeat. Gee, isn't that interesting? So now we have Biden predicts Russia will move in to Ukraine. Okay, invade Ukraine. Because they don't want a bordering nation that used to be part of Russia and the Soviet Union to join NATO. That's the big reason why they are causing so many problems in Ukraine. They don't want Ukraine to become part of NATO. But I thought this would happen under Trump. What does the Kremlin have now on Biden? Oh, that's right. We can't speak in those terms. Anyway, Democrats, this is all taking place under a Democratic president, Democrats in Congress, in the House and the Senate, and there's nothing that they can do about it. The stock market is going to not only crash, but there's going to be a devastating financial crisis from all of this. And it might not happen next week. It might not happen next month. It might not happen 2 months from now. It could happen tomorrow. But the stock market will crash. You look right now, ladies and gentlemen, oil is at an all-time high. Natural gas, Europe counts on Russia. Russia supplies right here 40% of natural gas, with Europe dependent on imported gas and Russia supplying 40% or more of those imports. Putin has leverage. This is an article, Europe lacks natural gas. Is it Russia's fault? Well, no, it's the fault actually of, if you ask a very knowledgeable, really, really intriguing, interesting energy expert, his name is Alex Epstein, climate change policies have benefited Vladimir Putin, Russia, any country that supplies oil and gas to Europe. They supply over 30% of European oil imports as well. So you look, ladies and gentlemen, and why is it that coal, natural gas, oil is at all-time highs? You can look. Oil hit 7-year high as tight supply bites. All right, so the risk added a premium to prices during the session. Crude futures rose to settle at $87.51 per barrel. Some OPEC sources say $100 per barrel oil is not out of reach. So let's look at all the wonderful things Biden's presiding over because Democrats tanked the economy several years back and we're still suffering from that decision. They pushed to end economic activity. Well, we won't talk too much about that, but hit subscribe to this channel. I'll have a live stream tonight at around 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. Pacific. So be here for the live stream. But Russia is going to invade Ukraine. When that happens, oil could very well hit above $100 per barrel. When that happens, we'll have more days like today and yesterday. Watch the playlist that I've compiled on the stock market crash prediction. I've been saying on this channel, I wrote in the Federalist that the stock market will crash. Bitcoin will get to 10,000. I did a segment on that the other day. Unfortunately, I don't want people to lose money. I don't care if you're a Biden supporter. I don't care if you're a hardcore Democrat or far left, person who equates everybody who supports Trump with an authoritarian, who thinks Trump's an authoritarian. It doesn't matter. I don't want you to lose money. I don't want anyone to lose money. But when Russia invades Ukraine, in addition to, there could be so many, there could be a catalyst like Archegos, the hedge fund that went under last year with a $30 billion margin call. If you have Russia invade Ukraine, then you have oil at over $100 per barrel. Okay, there were commodity traders not long ago trading calls on, I think it was calls or options on $200 per barrel oil. Okay, people are not positive. They don't have a positive outlook on the future because look what Mashed Potato Brains has done. He's presided over. Well, look at Democrats, experts, media have done. 2 years ago, they said, if we shut down economic activity, we'll be just fine. Then they obsessed over, you know what, for 2 years. Still obsessing over it. This caused a supply chain breakdown. This caused labor shortages. It caused $10 trillion to be pumped into the economy from monetary and fiscal stimulus. And I write about that in The Federalist. Now we have markets at all-time highs. Everything's overvalued. And you could have a collapse in housing, in real estate, the bond market, and the stock market, and cryptocurrencies all at once. Because they now want to increase interest rates 3 different times this year, and then 3 different times in 2023. And you have the Fed tapering that's ending, and it'll end, the quantitative easing that's ending, and the Fed tapering that's beginning, and the Fed will finish its taper. It's tapering by the second quarter of this year. So they're not going to be buying any government debt, pumping any money into the economy from quantitative easing. So monetary stimulus will end. Fiscal stimulus from Congress has already ended. $10 trillion was pumped into the economy. Biden's climate change policies, according to Alex Epstein and other people, have caused record highs in oil, gas, coal. So fossil fuels are at record highs, which, is the antithesis of what climate change activists want. Wealth inequality will be at record highs. They're already, you have people on the left saying, oh, well, Biden's policy, one of Biden's policies helped childhood poverty. Well, childhood poverty increased because Democrats, media, the wonderful experts that many people give their lives to, said we needed to end economic activity. If you end economic activity, poverty is going to increase. We had 22 million people unemployed in March. 2 months prior, in 2020, in January, we had record low unemployment. We went from record low unemployment to 22 million people unemployed because of the apoplectic and hysterical reaction of the Democratic Party primarily. That is a fact. And Republicans that went along with Democrats, Trump Republicans generally, weren't really on board. President Trump should never have acquiesced. But the people pushing all of this, they were primarily Democrats. They wanted an end to economic activity because they knew very well it would lead to Trump losing. Then you opened up a Pandora's box of problems. Energy prices soared, global supply chain breakdown. You have all of these problems now in China with Evergrande defaulting, property development companies defaulting on debt. And we're powerless to stop Russia invading Ukraine. So if everything is overvalued and you have a geopolitical nightmare, China is close to invading Taiwan. And so you have all of this uncertainty, but you have record highs in the stock market with $1 trillion in margin debt. And I'm telling you, derivatives, just like in '08, are going to cause hedge funds and possibly banks, possibly too big to fail banks, to either go under or get bailed out. Then if the Fed wants to bail out hedge funds or banks, that'll increase inflation. That will make inflation rise. So we're going to have a devastating financial catastrophe. What do? They're going to probably want to pump more money into the economy, but then prices will keep soaring upwards. So Putin didn't have, when Democrats were talking about Putin and the Kremlin, they were complete, imbeciles, completely ignorant of energy prices and geopolitics and what benefits the Kremlin or Russia or Putin or China or any other country that we view as an adversary or a competitor. They didn't like Trump because of his personality, but President Trump had a very good foreign policy and he had an excellent economy before Democrats, in their apoplectic and usual hysterical manner, pushed to end economic activity. Okay, notice I'm talking around a certain subject, which of course we must talk around. But none of their policies worked. Look at climate change. Fossil fuels are at record highs. Fossil fuels are the reason Russia can invade Ukraine and disregard any condemnation from NATO or Europe or the US. And when you ended economic activity, you gave a green light to any adversary to do as they wish, as long as that adversary had a whole lot of fossil fuels or natural gas or oil that it supplied Europe with. We didn't have to, the United States with media the way it is, media being an extension of the Democratic Party, we don't have to be invaded by a foreign country or adversary. We don't have to lose a, God forbid, monumental military confrontation. You just have mashed potato brains Biden and Democrats focus endlessly on Trump's tax returns, which they still can't find anything, but they found some kind of impropriety, but they're not charging him, so who knows? They're always obsessed with something regarding Trump because they have, serious derangement issues. Their lives are about Trump because they know President Trump. 73 million Americans voted for him. They know that only one person stands in their way from dominating politics, and that's Trump. So they focus on him and how he's a horrible person and how he's going to ruin democracy. Meanwhile, the entire world's crumbling apart. And it's because of the Democratic Party policies and our beloved President Biden's lack of leadership. I was going to say leadership, but more like lack of leadership. Okay? Oh, by the way, every problem that they blame Trump and pontificated and judged Trump on, from immigration to climate change, is worse under Biden. Worse. Wealth inequality, let's put it this way. You allowed the economy to start functioning again, so you can talk about wealth inequality being either better or not still not as good as when Trump was in office before what happened. We had record low unemployment. But when you push to end economic activity, you opened up a Pandora's box that we're not going to get. You can't pump $10 trillion into the economy. You can't push for eviction moratoriums after you have made things worse economically for everybody. So what Democrats do is they say, oh, look, we're helping with child tax credits. We're helping with stimulus. We're helping with eviction moratorium. What they don't tell you is their policies or their demands to end economic activity caused all of these financial problems. So then they pump money to help people who are suffering financially because they caused the financial suffering. But anyway, again, I'm speaking in roundabout terms because I have to. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. There's nothing that we can do to stop Russia. And Biden basically, why did he even have Blinken? What does he do? He should have been focused on this. They should have told him, okay? They should have instructed him to be focused on this for months now. It easily could have had numerous NATO meetings or EU meetings or, developed a coalition of countries diplomatically to tell China not to invade Taiwan or Russia not to invade Ukraine. He didn't do that because he lacks. Do you think there's anything that he, mashed potato brains, actually wants or sees as, you think he is running, you think he is telling his Secretary of State or his advisors what he wants? Or do you think his advisors are telling him what to do? Gee, it's not a difficult question. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. I'll have a live stream tonight at around 9:30 p.m. Pacific. I told you there's going to be a devastating stock market crash. I have a stock market crash channel. I'll have a segment on that channel tonight, and I'll be doing a lot more on that channel. I keep saying that, but it's almost as if I'm just waiting for the stock market crash to take place to start doing more work on that channel. But again, I don't want people to lose money. I don't want people to lose money in Bitcoin. I don't want people to lose money on cryptocurrencies. I don't care if you're the furthest lefty possible, or it doesn't matter. If you're living in this country, I don't want you to lose money. Unfortunately, we're going to have a devastating financial crisis, and this could be the catalyst, or it could be a hedge fund or bank that goes under because derivatives trades that aren't addressed by Dodd-Frank. When the crash happens, and you'll see AOC and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, who failed her DNA test, you'll see Elizabeth Warren talk about how big banks and hedge funds and they placed risky derivatives trades. Well, the derivatives portion of Dodd-Frank, which was passed over a decade ago, has not yet been implemented, or maybe they're just starting to implement now. The derivatives trades will cause also this horrendous financial collapse and stock market crash. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Be here tonight at around 9:30 p.m. for the live stream. Thank you.